This is Coach's Corner.
The Coach's Corner, a production of Gulf Coast State College. Programming on the Commodore Sports Network is sponsored by Sweet Bay. Sweet Bay is a bayfront village designed to inspire natural and relaxing living with a dash of southern charm. This community features parks, walking trails to the water, and a friendly community, and much more. For more information about Sweet Bay, call 844-35-SWEET or go online to sweetbayflorida.com. So, Coach, another great season, one for the record books.
Absolutely. These young ladies definitely will go down in history with back-to-back titles.
Back-to-back titles, and, you know, the state tournament, national tournament, there's no way anybody can say those ladies backed into anything. We had probably the hardest ways to get through to that championship, but they did so much, especially when you take into consideration Amanda Pascal going down, Fatu not being able to play. Raven Fox had to work around some injuries.
Right.
And, you know, just a tremendous effort by those ladies.
Absolutely. You know, like you said, we didn't back into anything. The Panhandle Conference was arguably the best in the country, and, you know, to win that and then to go to the state tournament and have to go through Tallahassee and Chipola again and play each one of them a fourth time to win the region tournament, and then to, you know, go to the national tournament. And our draw was a pretty tough draw from the first game all the way through the last game. So these young ladies accomplished a great feat to do all that this year, and then to have done it last year too. It's just amazing. So
let's start with the first game at the state tournament. We played Central Florida. They're the host team. And playing the host team in their gym is not always the easiest thing. We won 90-51, but, you know, it's still a tough draw to start out with the host team.
It is, and we had a 16-day layoff, so we were kind of concerned, and you know, because we had the last game, had the last bye of the conference season, and so we had quite a few days off before going to the state tournament, and then to play them on their home floor. And they had improved quite a bit from, you know, November to March, and so we were concerned, but we played well. You know, they did some things that kind of messed us up, but we played well. We shot the ball well. So we managed to get through that first game, and, you know, just kind of kept going from there.
So won most of the quarters. At the end, it was so one-sided by the time we got to the end. You were trying to make sure nobody got hurt, nobody got injured, that we were able to move on. If we look at scoring, Taylor Emery with 23, Bennett with 21, Castro with 12, and Edwards with 14 in that game.
Right. Lasagna played a great game that first game for us, and it was good to see. You know, some young ladies. We've had some diversity all year in scoring, and we were pretty powerful in scoring. When we shot the ball well, we were pretty hard to beat. And that particular game, we did shoot the ball well, and a lot of different people stepped up and scored, and so that was just a good win to get started in that tournament.
Especially when, like you said, with the layoff and all that in there. So at one time we led by as much as 43. Right. So the Lady Commodores came out. And a lot of these games come out on a mission. You know, you can just see that that's what it was. And now the second day, we got to play Tallahassee, and Tallahassee is a very good team. We won 99-69, but it was a little closer game than that until right at the end when we blew that open. So.
Yeah, it was another effort where we just shot the ball well, played well, everything kind of came together, played great team defense, and you know, they have some high-powered scorers too, and you know, L'Oreal Wilson killed us for the first half, and then the second half I think she scored 4 points. So we had to change and make some defensive adjustments at halftime. And you know, to beat Tallahassee by 30 was a tremendous win, and hopefully that was the thing that maybe gave us some confidence going into the final game.
So like you said, Wilson ended up with 29 for the game, and 25 of them were the first half. So she, you know, great adjustment at halftime there. If we come back and look at our side, Taylor Emery scored 35 for the Lady Commodores. Tremendous effort for her. Bennett with 22 and Castro with 24.
Right.
So great effort for those ladies to score that many points. So.
Yeah, it was. That was just a tremendous shooting effort, and shot a lot of threes in, and Taylor's been kind of consistent all year, and then other people have stepped up at different times, and they picked good times to step up to the plate.
And at that point, that was probably one of the most complete games we played
as a team. Yeah,
as a team.
That was a great team effort because people just don't realize how good Tallahassee is and how athletic they are and how tough they are to defend. And like I say, to score that many points and win by 30 was a great win. Great
win, and then like you talked about it earlier, how tough the Panhandle Conference was. So by winning that game, we advanced in the championship game to play Chipola, 180-72, which was another tough game for the Lady Commodores.
Absolutely, and then that game was a little bit different. We had to hit some key free throws down the stretch to secure that win, and I think we went 10 for 10 at the end of the game to secure it, and so that was a great free throw percentage to walk away with a region championship.
So we worked out there. Taylor Emery would 20 again. We seem to say that a lot for her. And Bennett with 21. Lasagna Edwards with 10 that night.
Right.
And playing Chipola, that's just a tough team to play, especially now for the fourth time.
Fourth time. You just can't keep beating people and figuring out a new way to challenge them. And that was just a great tournament for us to play them and Tallahassee and play the home team. It was a tough draw. So we can feel real good about ourselves that we had a tough draw and we achieved what we set out to achieve.
Because normally in that state tournament, the other two Panhandle Conference teams would have been in the other side of the bracket.
Yeah.
And they would have played each other to play us. But this year, because the at-large and way they set it in there, they had to move.
Right, we had to move in our bracket.
Bracket.
It worked out fine, and we won. So, yeah, it was kind of exciting, but it definitely was a very tough bracket.
A tough bracket there, and to get there. And when we looked at that bracket, before it started, we thought, wow, Chipola comes through the easier side of this bracket because they didn't have to play that Panhandle Conference team. So
yeah, but when we get to the state tournament, there was a lot of good teams there, and there's a reason why 8 teams, get there, and so it was a tough field.
So, and then we advanced on, went back to Lubbock, Texas. It was nice to see the big picture on the wall of last year's team. And so we got there, and our first game was against Hartford. Now, Hartford played a game the day before. And like last year, when that team came in, they had a game under their belt, and we had another little layoff.
Yeah, it's tough when they get that first game and get comfortable with the atmosphere and the gym and the rims and baskets, and we struggled that first quarter. I think it was tied after the first quarter. And Hartford very, very talented to be a number 17 seed, and the only losses they had were to us and Chipola and then Monroe throughout the whole season. So they got a tough seed for a team that had some had a great winning record, and their losses were to number 1 and 3 in the country.
So and we won that game. We'll let Commodore fans know we won 88-70. But at the end of the first quarter, it was 20-21.
Yes.
And at the end of halftime, now it was 55-31, and then it kind of separated from there. But they were a very, very good team. They could shoot the ball well.
Yes.
Played well. If we look at scoring again for the Lady Commodores, Taylor Emery with 32 that night.
Right.
So what a tremendous effort for her to open up with. Dunlap with 18 and Castro with 12.
Right.
And that was the opening game of the tournament. And normally that first game should be a little easier, but last year and this year they were tough.
Yeah, our first games have been tough at Lubbock, and maybe that's what's helped us get ready for the rest of the tournament. So I guess we, as much as we complained both years, at the end of the day, we achieved what we wanted to. So maybe that helped us get ready for some tough ones the rest of the way.
So, and then we had the opportunity to play Seward County.
Yeah.
We played them once before. In 2002.
A long time ago, 2002, yep.
And lost to them in the semifinals. And they went on to win the national championship that year. So this is the second time with a much better outcome.
Yeah, a lot better outcome. We were reminded of that game quite a few times during that tournament from them and their fans. And Jim Littell, had signed Maria Castro at Oklahoma State, and he was the coach at the time that beat us. And he has continuously said that was the best game that Seward ever played, and if we played 10 times, we probably would have beaten them 9. But that's why you play the game. And that particular year, they got us, and this particular year, we were fortunate to beat them.
So, and one of the other things we need to talk about is a little different. They had a 6'8" post player.
Yeah. It was tough. She definitely, and somebody said, well, you took care of her. I said, yeah, we took care of her. We made her look like she deserved to be on the all-tournament team, and she scored a lot of points, got a lot of rebounds, and we looked like we were just kind of doing jumping jacks around her, trying to, keep her from getting the ball. But and we did. We had some deflections, but she still had a great night. It was just tough. We were undersized. She had about 8 inches on our, on our tallest player that was available, and I kept teasing Fatu that, if you were out there, maybe you could have made a difference, and at least she wouldn't have scored as many. But at the end of the day, she got hers, and some of their other scorers didn't get theirs, and we came away with a victory.
So, and we won 83-72. She had 26 points, 16 rebounds. And you're right, to start with, it took a little while to adjust in fronting that post. We were starting to deflect some of those passes because once she received the ball,
yeah, well, we weren't going to, we were going to foul her, or she was going to just keep tipping it to her. She got a lot of rebounds because she missed shots and got offensive rebound and put it back in. But, at the end of the day, our kids did a great job, and they came away with a victory against a very, very good team.
A very good team. And, Herman and I said a lot of times she kind of takes several steps to turn and shoot, but
yeah,
that's just the way
they
they
say
play.
the same thing about some of ours, probably.
some of ours. So, Taylor Emery with 16, Castro with 23. Castro came out in that first quarter and hit 4 threes, had 14 points at first quarter.
Yeah, she did. She was the difference that particular game. It's been kind of amazing that somebody else stepped up. Every game out there was kind of a different person, and Maria hit those threes, and it really stretched it for us. And that was, I don't know that we would have won without Maria having that hot hand that particular game.
And so she had 7 threes for that game. A tremendous shooting effort for her that night. She always plays tough defense and plays so hard.
Solid.
And Edwards had 12 points.
Right.
She had a good night.
She did. It was a good game.
So we won that game, different outcome than 2002. And then we went and played Salt Lake on Friday, 180-66. But Salt Lake played such a different tempo and speed of a game, it took us a little while to adjust there.
Well, they were big. They had some big guards, and and then they break you down. They use a lot of their shot clock, and that's probably the one thing in the Panhandle. We all are kind of up tempo, and we shoot quick, and we don't use the shot clock much, and so having to defend for longer periods of time and try to defend their picks and their flares and all the screens that they do, we struggled with that, and they kind of outsmarted us early on, and I think we were nervous. I think we were, I wouldn't say overlooking to the next game, but we knew what was on the line, and I think we played a little tight. And then we just couldn't make any run to gain any save. Usually when we get a little separation, we get real confident, and we just could not separate from them. When we'd have the chance, we'd get a turnover, we'd miss a shot, and when we finally did separate from them in the fourth quarter, then we kind of, ran away with it with a 14-point victory.
So, and if we look at it by the quarters, it was 14-14 after the first quarter. It was 40-39 after the second quarter. It was 53-51 after the third quarter, and at the end it ended up being 80-66.
Right.
We finally got a little confidence there and made a nice little run there. So, and the ladies play, we got. And then it came down to a rematch of last year.
Yeah.
Played Trinity Valley for the championship. Trinity Valley, I assume, probably watched us play the night before and just said, okay, well, we got this. But it didn't turn out that way. We won 87-63 to repeat as national champions.
Yeah, that was from start to finish. Our young ladies were on a mission, and you could see it, you could feel it. And when we jumped out there with that big lead in the first quarter, again, anytime we shoot the ball well, and then number two, when we got that separation, the momentum carried and we were confident, and you could see pretty early on that our kids were not going to be denied, and they were on a mission, and they accomplished the mission.
And when they came on the floor, you could see that from the tip. They just came out and they were determined and focused, and and probably the second best game they might have played all year.
Yeah, we've had a few where we shot well like that, but for us to, all the emphasis that we talked about, the things that we were going to have to do, and the things that we, would yell and scream about at practice that we weren't getting done at practice, they just did it. We did it well. So all the pieces came together as a coach. It's such a satisfying feeling knowing that all the things that you worked on, your weaknesses, and that these young ladies on that last game put it all together. So it was a great feeling to know that everything that you built on and built upon throughout the season, they made it all work in that final game.
They made it work. Lady Commodores finished 34-2 overall.
Yeah.
Region 8 state champions. They were the #1 seed in the national tournament.
Yeah.
And they were the defending national champions. Yeah. Now they're back-to-back national champions.
Right.
Plus, you're kind of in a different zone by yourself. You've won 5 national championships, and no other coach in Division I's done that, Coach.
Well, that's just a testament to the kids that we've had over this 19-year period, that they bought in and believed in each other and believed in us and believed in Gulf Coast. And it's all about, we talk about the Gulf Coast family. There's so many pieces to it all fitting in place. You have to have some luck, but you have to have talent. It starts with the players. But all the pieces that we have, from the faculty to the administration to our whole entourage of you and Herman and radio and broadcasting and scorekeeping and stats and everything, everybody that's involved with us, everybody does their job and they do it well, and there's a big fit to this. Unfortunately, Rooney Scoville gets to be the name that sits at the top of this whole entourage, but it is definitely the village that helps us win these championships.
Well, and it's the person that goes in at halftime and makes those adjustments and comes up with the practice schedules, and you just do so much, Coach, and I appreciate.
Oh, thank you.
But truthfully, we all know who steers the ship, and so congratulations.
Thank you.
Taylor Emery got a couple of recognitions also.
Yes, she was one of the conference players, first team all-conference, and a couple other kids. But she was the Region 8 the tournament player, and then she was the WBCA National Player of the Year, and then she also won the National Junior College National Championship Player of the tournament. So Taylor's had a great year, and I'm happy for her. She made a decision to leave a Division I school and kind of regroup, and sometimes that's hard to do, to go back JUCO, as we all say, and for her to have that kind of success, to make a hard decision, and to come back to Gulf Coast, and then for all this to kind of fall into place for her and have so much success. I'm really happy for her, and I think it's a testament to a lot of other people that, sometimes whether it's a second chance or a different opportunity that helps you achieve the goal. So she's definitely a testament to that.
So, well, we've definitely been out of town. We've run over it, but a tremendous season, Coach.
Thanks.
Last year's team, we kind of expected to win that. This year's team, I think you coached up, everybody bought in, and it was a tremendous accomplishment.
It was. It definitely was. Go down in history.
So for Coach Scoville, I'm James Spaxley. I'll be back in a few minutes, Commodore fans, with Coach Kandler and talk about how the baseball team's doing. Commodores come in with a 26-11 overall record, Coach, 4-8 in the Panhandle Conference, ranked number 9 in the state coaches poll, ranked 7th in the NJCAA national poll. So pretty good rankings.
Yeah, in which the rankings in baseball is, as we always say, in the basketball, it actually might determine your seed or something like that for a national tournament or an at-large bid. Well, we don't have those things, so the rankings really are more, for something for fans and media to talk about, but it's always nice when somebody is honoring your body of work.
Well, we got just a few minutes and a lot of games to talk about, so we're about to stick it in overdrive, Commodore fans. So back on the 20th of March, defeated Wallace Dothan 15-3.
Yeah, we went up to Dothan. They've got a really good team. They're ranked high in the state of Alabama and have played really well. And for some reason, it was our day. Seifert started that game and pitched well, and kind of was the signs that our bats were finally coming to life when we really swung the bat well. And that was a good win for us because that score's a little bit lopsided, but the difference in talent of the team certainly is not that great. So that was really a good way. And sometimes you worry about those non-conference games during your bye week because you think guys might not be focused, but we came out ready to play. So I was very happy with that day.
So and then on the 23rd we played Spring Hill College JV, won 13-0.
Yeah, we actually had a doubleheader that day. We won both of them and played well. Again, in a game like that, we had more talent on the field than they did, and we should have been able to beat them, but we played really well and beat them soundly. The unique thing there is if you haven't ever been over to Spring Hill, first of all, it's a beautiful campus, and it's the oldest continuous baseball field on a college campus in the United States of America, and it's just a quaint field. It's really got some neat little nuances to it, and so our guys really enjoyed playing there. In fact, it's so old that when the teams used to break camp from spring training, they would do what they called barnstorming, meaning they played their way north. So like the Yankees, for example, would play at various places, and they always played at Spring Hill. So they said where our guys were hitting is the same batter's box that Babe Ruth actually played at and stuff like that. So our players thought that was a pretty neat experience, and so that was a fun day for us.
So that is cool to talk about.
Yeah,
so,
yes.
And then we've opened Panhandle Conference play and played Tallahassee, but we're really going to pick up, because for sake of time, let's just pick up with Chipola. On the 28th here, big day for the Commodore fans. They won 9-5, but there was a lot of things that happened that day.
Yeah, that was really a unique or a great day. It was Jeannie Frazier Day, and we'd kind of had to advertise that for about a month. And she came out through the first pitch, which was really neat to see her, and I think it meant a lot to her and the family. But several former players came out. A guy named Bill Weber, who played on Coach Frazier's first team way back in the early 70s, actually caught that first pitch, and it was just kind of getting in touch with our own history a little bit, and that was a lot of fun. And then we went out and played extremely well and beat a great team. So all in all, that was just a great day for the Commodores and for the fans, and it was really nice for the Frazier family. So it was a lot of fun.
So and had a nice turnout.
Great turnout, and I think one of the keys was I think somehow Coach Frazier coached that game, because our players sure played like his teams used to play. We played hard, we played fundamentally sound, and we're able to, like I said, Chipola hasn't lost many, and to go out there and beat them fairly soundly was a good start to that series. Because
if we look at scoring, it was 3-1 after one, and then we came back in the third and scored 2. And then in the fifth, they scored 4, and we scored 1. And in the sixth, we scored 1. And then in the eighth, we scored 2 more.
Yeah, we kind of, to beat them, you just have to be persistent and resilient. You have to keep coming at them. They're so talented. You know that at some point during that game, they're going to make a run at you. And we just kept plugging and plugging and plugging. So I was very pleased. That might be the best game, top to bottom, we've played the entire season.
So, and pitching obviously did a great job.
Yeah, Seifert started that one, and then Luukkonen came in, and he was absolutely lights out. He shut them down for the last half of the game, and which is not easy to do, because their lineup it's relentless. I mean, it's just one guy after the next, and as we found out in the next 3 games of this series, when those big bats get going, they're hard to stop.
So, and then we played them on the 31st on Frazier Field again. And this time it was 15-5 Chipola.
Yeah, we got boat raced in that game, and they're capable of doing it. Their hitters are a lot like sharks when they smell blood in the water. When they see a weakness or they get you down, and they can really swing it. And we walked a bunch of guys in the game. It's hard to attack pitcher or hitters of that caliber, because if you throw down the middle, you're going to get hit. But if you're nibbling, you're going to get behind in the count. You're going to walk people. So it's kind of 6 in one hand, a half a dozen in the other, and pick your poison. And in this game, we just got behind way too many hitters, and their big bat showed out. Caballero hit some balls that I don't know if they've come down yet, and so it was, they were good, and they beat us. I mean, there's nothing else I can tell you. That they just put a sound whipping on us that day.
So if we look at scoring, they scored 2 in the first, 5 in the third, and then 2 in the 7th. Commodore scored 2, and then they came back and scored 6, and we scored 3 in the 8th.
Right. We tried to make a little run in the end, and then they just kind of said, "That's enough of that." So. Yeah.
And then we went to Mariana and played a doubleheader, and hopefully I have these in right order.
You do.
And we lost the first one 11-8.
Yeah, in that game, it was the same thing. They kind of. They wore us down a little bit. Kilcrease started, didn't have his best stuff. Part of that, our rotation's been a little bit messed up as to where we had it, and I had some guys in different roles, and maybe that was a mistake. And in hindsight, obviously it is. When you lose, it's always a mistake. But the best part of that is we stayed with it, and we tried to catch them from behind, but again, it was tough to do. We just gave them too big of a cushion. But the guys never quit in that game, and it was a competitive ball game, but again, you're going against a team they're red hot, and I think they're 13-3 or something in the league now, and they just aren't losing many at all.
So they're ranked high in the national poll, #1 in the state coaches poll.
Sometimes you just have to give the other guy credit, and I've done this for quite a while, and they're as talented a junior college team as I've seen. Now, does talent alone, mean you're going to have a great season? No, but Coach Johnson's got them playing, and they've got a lot of weapons that can hurt you in a lot of different ways. And it's kind of, I guess the equivalent would be a football team that they're good on the ground and they're good in the air and they got a good defense, and it's kind of hard to beat them. Well, that's how these guys are. They're 1 through 9. The lineup's good, and they can pitch it as well. So if you don't play really, I don't want to say you have to play perfect, but you have to play on a high level to compete with them.
And if you don't play, then it gets one-sided.
Yes,
because that's how good. And even if you play extremely well, they still have the ability.
Sure, they might beat you anyway, but if there's a crack in your armor somewhere, they're going to exploit it. And like you said, it can be a good ball game. Like the game we're about to talk about was a close ball game, and all of a sudden it's not. It's just that's it. It's over. Game, set, and match, and that's what they can do. That's what great teams can do to you, is they can make you look bad in a hurry.
So because we lost 10-3, but at the end of 2, Commodores were up by 2. And then they scored 1 in the 3rd, and they scored 1 in the 4th, and then the Commodores scored 1 in the 5th. They scored 4 in the 5th, and then came back and scored 4 in the 6th.
Yeah, they just kind of, they just put their stamp on it. And we were right there with them, and it's kind of a, it's a strange thing, because for an hour and 15 minutes you're playing right with them, and then in a span of just really quickly you look up and you're like, geez, this thing's over. They just kind of. Some big, timely hitting. They get a couple of singles, and somebody finds a gap, and there you have it. It's a good learning experience. They kind of are getting out there, running away with the league a little bit, which isn't unexpected. But now we've got Pensacola this week. That if we've got to do a little bit better. We got to win a series. If we can win this series, that kind of puts us back in the thick of at least being competitive in the league, and maybe making a run at second place or something like that. But we got to do a little bit better. We got to win this series, or it's going to be tough sledding from this point forward.
And so on Tuesday, we go to Pensacola and play at 5 p.m.
Right, and Pensacola is not, record-wise, has been on the bottom of it, but if you look, their scores are pretty competitive. There's just not that much difference between the top and the bottom of the league. Pensacola lost all 4 games in Northwest in the last series, but they were all good games. I think at least one of them for sure went to extra innings. So they're not a slouch, and our guys, hopefully we're smart enough to look at it that way, that we're going to have to play well to beat them too. I mean, but if you do play well, you got a pretty good chance of beating them.
So, and then we go again on Thursday at 5 and play again.
Yep.
And then we'll have a doubleheader here on Frazier Field Saturday, at 1 o'clock and 3 o'clock.
Yeah, and hopefully the weather, the forecast for this week doesn't look good, but hopefully the weather cooperates a little bit. And, it's kind of been backwards. It was warm and nice in February. Now we're getting into April to the end of the season. We're getting the wind and the rain, and I guess it's supposed to be cold. But hopefully we can get a good crowd out there. That sure helps when you have a nice home field crowd. Gets you guys a little bit more motivated. And we have our work cut out for us. We've dug some holes sitting at 4 and 8. But again, we can get kind of right back in the thick of things if we can have a good series.
And right now, if we look briefly at the Panhandle Conference standings, Chipola 13 and 3, Northwest 9 and 3, Tallahassee 5 and 7, Gulf Coast 4 and 8, and Pensacola State 1 and 11. So right in the middle of it, and still plenty of games to play.
Plenty of games to play, but again, you can't just keep saying that. At some point, you got to win some of these games, or a few more than we have. And we've been right there in a lot of the ball games. I mean, the Northwest series was a tough series. The Tallahassee series was back and forth, and there's a couple of ball games there that really 1 or 2 plays we could have been on the winning end of it and been a little bit more in the thick of it. But hey, this is the crunch time, and this is, if you're going to be a good team, it's time to show up now.
So, well, Coach, we're about out of time. So for Coach Mike Kandler, I'm James Spaxley. Thanks for watching, Commodore fans, and we'll see you next time on the Commodore Sports Network.
This has been Coach's Corner with your host, James Spaxley.